Hina was a beautiful 20-year-old, the only daughter of her parents. Their house stood quietly on the outskirts of the city, near an old, abandoned cemetery. Locals often whispered about strange happenings in the area, but Hina's family never paid attention to such tales. Hina's engagement to her cousin Adnan had already been arranged. Excitement filled the household as wedding preparations began, and everyone eagerly awaited the big day. But 3 months before her wedding, Hina started experiencing unusual dreams. At first, she kept them to herself. In her dreams, she would find herself inside a dark, old mansion. Shadows loomed around her, and she would hear mysterious footsteps echoing through empty halls. Then a figure would appear, a dark shadow standing silently, watching her. "You are mine, Hina, only mine," the shadow whispered. Hina would wake up, trembling and frightened. Night after night, the same shadow visited her dreams, repeating the same words. Soon, she began dreading sleep. Dark circles formed under her eyes, and her once bright complexion started to fade. Noticing her distress, Hina's mother asked, "Dear, are you all right? You seem troubled." With a trembling voice, Hina told her mother about the dreams, about the shadow claiming her as its own. Her mother, deeply worried, consulted the family elders. They decided to call a spiritual healer, a respected Babaji, to help Hina. When Babaji heard her story, his expression grew serious. "It seems a jinn has taken an interest in your daughter," he said gravely. "It wants to claim her as its own." Babaji gave Hina 3 talismans. One to wear around her neck, one to place beneath her bed, and one to hang on the main door. For several days, Hina's dreams ceased. Relief returned to the household, and wedding preparations resumed. A week before her wedding, while Hina was admiring her bridal outfit, a sudden chill filled the room. She felt an unsettling presence and glanced around, but saw nothing. That night, she removed her talisman for her makeup artist to work on her, unaware that danger was returning. The familiar dream came again, but this time the shadow had a human form. A tall, handsome young man with dark eyes and black hair. He wore a traditional sherwani and smiled mysteriously. "Hina," he said, "tomorrow is your wedding, but you belong to me, my bride, my queen. I will take you to my world." Hina screamed, "I don't know you. I am to marry Adnan tomorrow." The man, Shahab, only smiled. "We shall see tomorrow." The wedding day arrived. Guests were everywhere, and the house was filled with laughter and music. Hina sat in her room, having her makeup done, when suddenly a cold wind swept through. She turned to the mirror and saw Shahab standing behind her, the very figure from her dreams. Terrified, she tried to scream, but no sound came out. Shahab spoke calmly, "Come with me, Hina, either willingly or by force." Just then, the makeup artist returned and Shahab vanished. Hina's heart pounded. She could feel that her life was no longer entirely her own. Hina found herself in a magnificent, surreal world unlike anything she had ever seen. Towering palaces floated on clouds, strange creatures moved gracefully, and light shimmered in colors her eyes couldn't name. This was Shahab's world, the place from her dreams. Hina was terrified at first, but soon curiosity took over. She began exploring, trying to understand the rules of this magical realm. Shahab guided her, explaining the customs and the wonders of his people. Despite his imposing presence, she noticed moments of kindness in his gestures. He truly cared for her well-being. Over the next few days, Hina studied everything carefully. She noticed patterns in the jinn world, learned to navigate its paths, and observed Shahab's behavior closely. She realized he wasn't cruel by nature. He was possessive because he feared losing her. Still, Hina's heart longed for her family. She wanted to return home, to reassure them that she was safe. So she began planning. Using her cleverness and subtle influence over Shahab, she earned his trust, all while secretly preparing a way to return. One evening, Shahab asked her if she truly wished to see her parents. Hina nodded. He hesitated, sensing her determination. "If your heart is set, I can show you, but you must promise to return for 3 days, or your family may face consequences." Hina agreed, knowing this was her chance. She retrieved her old journal from home, wrote messages for her family, and prepared for the journey back, her mind sharp and her courage unwavering. Hina held the magical ring tightly, her fingers trembling but her resolve firm. She whispered the words Shahab had taught her, spinning the ring 3 times. A swirling light surrounded her, and the surreal jinn world began to blur. When the light faded, she found herself standing in her own garden. The familiar scent of flowers and the soft rustle of leaves calmed her racing heart. Tears welled up as she realized she was home. She ran toward the house, eager to see her parents and reassure them. Inside, she found her mother and father frantic, worried sick. Baba Ji and a few family friends were searching everywhere. "Ami! Abu!" Hina cried, throwing herself into her mother's arms. Her father held her tightly, relief washing over his face. "We thought we'd lost you," he whispered. Hina explained briefly what had happened. Not everything, just enough to calm them. She handed her journal to Baba Ji, showing the messages she had written for her family from the jinn world. Baba Ji nodded thoughtfully, understanding her bravery and intelligence in handling the dangerous situation. Even though she was safe for now, Hina knew she only had 3 days before she had to return to Shahab's realm. She began planning carefully, observing Shahab's habits and weaknesses in preparation. Her courage, intelligence, and patience became her greatest weapons. Hina understood one truth clearly. Only by combining her wit with careful strategy could she navigate the jinn world and protect her family, all while ensuring her own freedom. Hina spent the next day observing the strange world around her. Shahab, confident in his power, didn't notice her studying his movements and learning the layout of his domain. She explored every corner of the jinn world, quietly noting escape routes, traps, and objects that might help her. That evening, when Shahab approached her with his usual charm and commanding presence, Hina greeted him calmly. "Shahab, I've seen your world, and I understand it now," she said softly. Shahab's eyes gleamed with pride and amusement. "Then you belong here, Hina," he said. Hina smiled, concealing her plan. "I want to be with you, "But on one condition," she said, holding up the broken remnants of the ring. "If I prove my trustworthiness, let me return to my family safely." Shahab, intrigued by her courage, agreed. Hina cleverly used her knowledge of his world to maneuver him into a protective circle prepared earlier with Babaji's guidance. The circle was invisible to Shahab's senses but bound his power. As Shahab entered, he suddenly felt an invisible force restraining him. Hina whispered the incantation Babaji had taught her, and the circle glowed brightly. Shahab's power waned, and for the first time, he realized Hina had outsmarted him. "You've tricked me!" he shouted, a mix of anger and admiration in his voice. Hina stood firm, her heart steady. "I will not be controlled, Shahab. My family and I are safe, and so am I." The jinn's furious roar echoed, then gradually faded as he was forced back into the depths of his realm. Hina's courage and intelligence had finally secured her freedom. She returned to her home permanently, knowing she had faced impossible odds and won. Not with brute strength, but with wit, patience, and courage. After the powerful ritual with Babaji, Hina felt a bright surge of energy surrounding Shahab. In an instant, he vanished, leaving only silence and the soft rustle of leaves. Relief washed over Hina. She was finally free from the jinn who had haunted her dreams and threatened her family. 2 weeks later, the wedding was rescheduled. This time, the atmosphere was calm, filled with laughter, music, and joyful conversations. Hina wore her bridal attire with grace, her heart lighter than ever. Her parents, seeing her safe, held back tears of happiness. Babaji smiled, knowing his protective measures had worked perfectly. As she walked down the aisle, Hina glanced around, appreciating the love and support surrounding her. She felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in months. Every glance from her groom reminded her that life could be beautiful and safe when trust, courage, and wisdom guided her choices. Even at night, when the sky was clear and stars sparkled above, Hina sometimes thought of the mysterious world she had visited. But she knew Shahab was gone, and she was finally in control of her own destiny. The dreams no longer frightened her. They became memories of her strength and cleverness. Hina's new life began with love, safety, and the warmth of her family around her. She had survived fear, trickery, and the unknown, and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready for a future full of hope.